Hey guys, this is Merlini. I'm bringing you another episode of Merlini Plays Dota 2, and the hero today will be Skywrath Mage, a hero that was played a little bit in competitive as soon as he was introduced, but has not been seen since. Thanks everybody for the comments. I've tried to up my microphone, and I'll keep in mind to keep it on player perspective, but constructive criticism and feedback is always welcome. So let's get right into it. Captain's mode is the mode of choice for NEL. For those of you that don't know what NEL is, it stands for North American Elite League. For those of you that know what IXDL is, it's kind of a step up from that. It's slightly more selective. A lot of the pro players that are in there, Bulba, Demon, Fogged, Arteezy, IX-Mike, pretty much all of the North American professional players play in here. And the way the games work, you have to download a client that IX-Mike made, and then teams are randomly chosen based on the rating. So I think each team's rating is about like 6,200. I think everyone starts off at about 1,000. And now with the recent change in Captain's Mode, you can actually change who the captain is, which is pretty useful. So I actually draft this. It's pretty standard picks for like the first few phases, but I tend to pick very flexible heroes for the first few. I draft a little bit differently than other people, and I like to experiment a lot more. This guy takes forever to draft. Elder Titan has been really popular lately. I kind of like him as a hero. I probably would have taken him had he not, but instead he took it. And I picked Lifestealer and Timbersaw. Lifestealer can lane anywhere. He's pretty good versus Elder Titan since he is magic immune, doesn't get stomped, doesn't take damage from the Ancestral Spirit, and won't get hit by his Earth Splitter. But he's not terribly good versus Puck. Puck can kite him pretty easily, but still, Lifestealer is very flexible. I can put him mid lane if they wanted to, if they like picked an OD or something like that, which I actually banned out. I can put him in a safe lane. I can put him solo safe lane. I can put him solo off lane and sacrifice him. Timbersaw is somewhat similar too. You can put him in the safe lane. You can put him in the off lane. You can put him in the mid lane. And although we haven't seen him in triple lanes too much, you can actually put him there too. So Bane's pretty annoying versus Lifestealer. I don't actually know why he banned it out. I just didn't want to give them good team fight and good anti-Lifestealer. Darkseer is pretty good anti-Lifestealer, as is Naga, and Naga Siren set up with Elder Titan is pretty ridiculous. If they had drafted Elder Titan and Naga, the game would have been completely different. So now I'm liking the supports. I need supports that can do stuff. I don't really like the supports that just pull and just get levels most of the game. I generally like more active supports, and Rubik is one of those. So is Sand King. Sand King is actually pretty important here because I need instant stuns. If you have like projectile stuns, it's very easy for them to dodge it with phase shift, with blink, even defensive disrupt. So I like the instant stun of Sand King over many of the other stunners like Sven, CK, whatever. I could have picked with CK, but I don't think we have a Wisp player. And Rubik also has a very short duration cast time. Cast time is actually very important. In Dota, but a lot of people underestimate it. Trian's really annoying. They're missing like another support, so I don't want them to like make Anti-Mage just like impossible to kill. I want to be able to shut Anti-Mage down in lane, so I'm going to do an aggressive triple lane. And I already knew that I was going to pick Skywrath versus Puck very early. They don't really have anything to shut down Skywrath, no silences, no stuns until the last pick, Alchemist. But since PBD is playing it, it is going to be a support Alchemist. Their lanes are very predictable though. It's either Puck off lane and Elder Titan mid, or Elder Titan off lane and Puck mid. But generally when teams pick Anti-Mage, they almost always do safe lanes. So I think that's the first thing that went wrong with their draft is that it's too predictable in the laning. I didn't really like Anti-Mage. He is pretty good for Lifestealer if you can get enough farm, and he's pretty good for Skywrath since Skywrath has a huge mana pool. But if we shut Anti-Mage down, we should win this game. We don't really have that great late game because Lifestealer fares very poorly against an Anti-Mage once Anti-Mage gets his Manta style, because it makes us almost all single target, and we have a lot of magic damage. We have Epicenter, and all of Skywrath's damage is magical too, besides his right click, so his spell shield's pretty useful. I don't necessarily think it was a bad pick, but it does make their lanes too predictable Shadow Demon Alchemist is a very strong roaming combo. I think that Mouse use it very, very effectively. They kind of popularized Alchemist, I'd say. They brought him into like the realm of support, and then after that, people were like, "Oh my gosh, this hero is so good without items." And he can get items too, so he is a very flexible hero too, which is why Alchemist is extremely popular. But I think before people started using him as a carry, Mouse started using him as a support. So I want to go top to control them. I actually dictate the lanes. I say, okay, you three go top, and I want these two to roam. If it's just a solo like Elder Titan, I could predict their lanes wrong, but I don't think I did. But in case that I do, I just said, okay, you two start off top. If there is anyone there, then you guys should stay there. If there's 3 people there, you guys should stay there. If not, then just go roam around and kill the other people. I want to keep Anti-Mage down. That is the most important part of like the first 25 minutes of the game. I always want to kill Anti-Mage, and I mean there are some side things too, like I want to kill Puck and keep him down so that he doesn't get blinked, so he can't protect the Anti-Mage, and I don't want this guy to get a mech so he can help the Anti-Mage. But in general, we are looking to kill Anti-Mage a lot. And my 2 support, another thing I like about having an aggressive triple lane is that it's much easier to rotate, I think. They try to smoke here. Mike is playing Puck. They come from the top side instead. But notice Mike's position, he's like on the very bottom part of the creep wave, and it's very difficult. The smoke pops, they don't actually get the kill. And I actually pick up silence at level 1. Silence, 3-second silence is about the time that it takes for him to orb away from Illusory Orb. So I wanted to be able to kill him with that. I don't actually know if he skilled phase shift, but it doesn't really matter. The kill fails, and I'm just gonna go get level 2. I get pulled 1 Tango. Generally, you get pulled like 1 Tango, 1 Salve, so you can go no branch, but it's not that big of a deal. If you click on Mike's items, he actually has the same amount of pull. So just trying to CS a middle, 3 and 3. Should bring up the last hits. He's 3 and 1, so he's not doing too poorly. I'm 4 and 3. But generally, you just want to right click him. If he phase shifts, then you just keep. Then you arcane bolt. I actually arcane bolted him to see if he picked up a phase shift. He does, and then he phases it. I waste 70 mana, but not a big deal. Just concentrating on CS getting levels. So right now, he just phase shifted a right click, which is a huge mistake. Don't ever do that with Skywrath, because you'll just lose the lane. Because Arcane Bolt does a lot more damage than the right click. You want to be able to just dodge that. And if they just get into the right click, or you just right click them back because you have phase shifts. But you can't get too low because Ancient Seal will ruin your life. So Demon actually played very well in the early game. He like rotates a lot, and I don't actually see what's going on here, but I know that there's a lot of kills that happen in this early game. So Demon's like constantly rotating in between mid and bottom as the support Rubik, making my life a lot easier in middle, making Mike's life a lot more difficult. Try and get a look at top. We don't actually have a ward up here yet. I also like that as a support. You only place wards if you know you need them. You don't place one just because. So he doesn't actually phase shift anything because he's waiting for Arcane Bolt, but he gets too low and will end up dying. I use Illusion Runes to tank the tower, but generally I go an Arcane Bolt, Ancient Seal, Arcane Bolt, and then Concussive Shot at level 4. You can switch it up though. Ancient Seal is much more important against Puck than other matchups, but if you're against a melee hero, I would say Arcane Bolt, Concussive Shot is probably a little bit better. Unless it's Magnus, then maybe you don't want him to skewer away. Generally, you don't skill silence this early, but it improves the damage of your other 2 skills, so it's much more useful than it is normally. So every time he phase shifts and right click, I'll cast Arcane Bolt. And there are a ton of kills on top, but I have no idea what's going on. I just see all the 3 of these heroes up in their faces. And there's a pause from somebody. I wonder how low they all are. Oh, they're not even that low. But I'm just concentrating on my lane, trying to keep Puck down, keep him from being unlevel. I don't want him to rotate either and help out top lane. I want them to be isolated on top. And if they want to rotate Elder Titan's not that useful early. He probably doesn't even have like phase boost or anything. He won't have it for a few minutes, so he's not going to be able to contribute that much. And they don't want lifesteal to get out of hand too. So like looking at their perspective is, okay, we want to get blink on Mike. We want to try and keep the lifestealer down if we can, but our main priority is protecting the Anti-Mage. And they need levels on their solos though before that can happen. And I get boots. I try and play up the hill too. Once you have a lane advantage, you should you should play up the hill and try and zone him out from the creep wave while still getting last hits. Though I see far too few people doing that. Like I'm 1 kill up, 2 kills up on the puck. That means I should play as aggressively on him during as possible, especially during daytime. At nighttime it's a little risky because you can actually die. Looks like Puck actually rotated bottom. He got unlucky because a 4-minute rune was top, and it looks like he's okay. I checked Lifestealer's cooldown. He actually has Rage, so I have a haste rune right now. I'm like waiting to use it though. You don't ever want to use a haste rune just for regen, because you can use a haste rune for a kill, which is much better than just using it for regen. I mean, if you're low, yeah, sure, you have to use it, but in general, I like to use it either to secure a 6-minute rune or to get a kill or to escape a gank. I'll use it for any of those, but regen is minimal importance. So you have to be very conservative with your mana as Skywrath, because he's very mana intensive. His ult takes like over half of his mana pool. And I actually buy chicken myself. Generally when I get first blood as a solo mid, I buy chicken. Because I'll have like a free wave of farm, which is like 200, 250 gold, and then I get first blood gold. So I can usually get bottle and a crow that early. I didn't even go like a bottle rush build, but Skywrath is like pretty good at last hitting too. So I actually scout out. There's this move I do whenever a hero is dead. Oh, looks like I'm going for the kill right now. I cast my conch shot early, and then as it's going towards them, I ancient seal. You don't want to cast conch shot too late, because you want everything to hit at the same time. If you like run towards him, he'll just run away. So you cast it, and then like close to when you think he's about to phase shift, you silence him, and then you hit with everything at once: Mystic Flare, Arcane Bolt, and Ancient Seal. So there's this thing I do with the creep wave in mid. Once I get a kill in middle, I'll go in between the 2 towers right here and drag the creeps around up this hill and down. This is only if I don't think I'll die though, and what this does, it drags my creep wave into their tower. So when they TP back, they're gonna miss a few creeps, and if they don't TP back, they miss a full entire wave. And I know that they either don't have enough money for TP, or they're gonna go to another lane. You always need to keep track of what your middle lane, what the opponent's middle lane is doing. And if you can keep him in lane and always predict where he is, or let your team know where he is, then that's a very good thing. So looks like we're trying to get a kill here. I have an invis rune. I get my conch shot, silence, and he's dead again. Puck is so flimsy once he gets silenced. People generally don't pick silences in competitive because it gets owned by BKB as well as Manta style, but it's still pretty good in the early game, especially if you can prevent them from getting BKBs. But it requires like a very aggressive strategy, and you can't really make that many mistakes, because if you lose one big team fight, they get their BKBs and then your silencers are useless. So it's like a very risky thing picking silencers. Stuns are still useful, even through BKB, especially if it instant stuns like Blink. You can just Blink stun and you can stun lock them during BKB, or at least get a ton of damage on them from BKB. But silences is not like that. So IXMike plays very aggressively. Demon is a player here. But we have like great TP response. Notice like as soon as they dive in between our T1 and our T2, we overkilled that, by the way, by using Epicenter, but all my heroes are around there. And Lifestealer is doing exactly what he's supposed to do. If they give him space to farm, then that's okay. He just needs to get like 1 or 2 big items and then start joining us for fights. But he doesn't need to farm like just Armlet, Drums, Basher, and Orchid, Shadowblade, and just do nothing until like 30 minutes. That's exactly what I don't want him to do. That's why I pick Lifestealer, because once he's his phase drums, he's probably stronger than any other carry in the game with just phase drums, and you really need to take advantage of that. And a lot of people don't do that. They like pick heroes that are strong at like certain points in the game. So try and get a kill on PPD here. He misses his stun, and I'm not happy about that. And I stood too close to him right there. If I didn't stand right next to him, I wouldn't have gotten stunned by his suicide. And this is actually a very bad turnaround for me, because we could have just killed him. If he had stunned him, we would have just killed him and then gotten out, and I wouldn't have died here. I'm like saving up. I don't actually know what I want to buy. Usually it's BOTs, because I want to be able to just dump my mana, go home and heal, dump my mana, go home and heal, and it makes my efficiency a lot higher, especially with a hero like Skywrath. Arcane Boost is like okay too, because it increases your maximum mana pool, but the mana regen is like awful on Skywrath, because he has so much mana that you pretty much, every time you dump your mana, you have to go home and heal, because it will take you like 5 minutes to regen back like 1500 mana with Arcane Boots, even with Bottle, unless you get a regen, but again, that's independent of getting Arcane Boots. So I go just like a maximum mana pool build. It doesn't actually give you any intelligence either, which is important because Arcane Bolt is dependent on that. So when Shadow Demon disrupted himself, I cast Mystic Flare because Mystic Flare doesn't actually hit illusions. If you press Alt, Mystic Flare only affects heroes. It does not damage illusions or creep heroes. So that's actually pretty important for later when he has Manta Style, when they have disrupt images. And Conch Shot also doesn't hit illusions. Notice when I'm dead, I'm always looking around the map. I'm checking out what they have. I actually tried to dodge his blink there, but I did not get it. He didn't even need to use mana on blink, which is a shame. But yeah, I'm clicking around the map, seeing what items my team has, what items the opponents has, how close he is to their ultimates or whatever, seeing if they're close to any items, generally checking out the wards, their expiration time, the runes. There's plenty of things to be doing when you're dead. Even when it's late game, you want to be keeping track of like buyback timers and whatnot. And Demon, again, my team is like very, very active. Like they haven't stacked a creep camp yet this game, but it's not that type of game to stack creep camps. It's just constant fighting everywhere. Bulba's our Timber player, he barely escapes there, and looks like he wants to get a kill. And he tries to disjoint it, but you can't actually disjoint Skywrath spells, which is pretty interesting. Concussive Shot cannot be disjointed, and it doesn't actually say that it can't hit illusions, but yeah, and you have to have vision of them too. So I had to play them like 3 or 4 times just to make sure I knew exactly how his spells work. Like there's some weird stuff like, oh, can this hit illusions? Can this hit illusions? Can you disjoint any of these? Like what's the range on his silence, etc. What's his like cast animation like? You always need to play a hero a few times. I barely missed out on a kill on Mike there, and this is the start of a not so great mid game for me. I was doing very well in the beginning because Demon helped me out, and I've just been dying a couple times unnecessarily. But again, as I'm dead, I'm always watching fights. They kill Arteezy again because Puck manages to pick up a waning rift. So Demon's just playing astounding this game. Looking at the scoreboard, he's been involved in 12 of 18 kills, and like Lifestealer's been involved in action too. I would not want to see like a 0-0-0 Lifestealer at this point of the game. And generally, we're just trying to keep up pressure on the map, force them to defend AM and not farm. If they just split push and farm, like our lineup is terrible against split push. It excels at fighting and excels at early game. We have pure damage with Timbersaw and his Chakram as well as his Whirling Death, and we have some physical damage with him. Maybe he can get Basher later. But we have a lot of lockdown for Anti-Mage. We have Stun, we have Telekinesis, we have Silence, and we have to use that before he gets his BKB, before his Manta Style. And again, our lineup is geared towards early game. Make sure that you take advantage of it. Make sure you're always in their face, aggressively warding, trying to push towers, force fights, stop them from farming. And again, like in this position, we're trying to force a fight. If Anti-Mage doesn't fight, they're forced to fight 4-on-5 and probably lose a fight. But if Anti-Mage comes and fights, he might die and he might lose out on farm, but we may lose a fight. So it's a trade-off that is a very difficult one to make. Looks like Anti-Mage chooses to farm top, and we only end up with what, 2? It was 2 for 1, and we end up getting another kill. Tries to phase shift again, but the spell does too much damage. Arcane Bolt. Oop. Skywrath Mage armor is also very, very terrible. He only has 2 armor, so I just get absolutely rocked by his ultimate, or his stun and acid spray. And unfortunately, Fog comes and picks both of us off. In retrospect, I should have ran up and to the left, but Anti-Mage would have picked me off. Or if I, like once I killed the Puck, I maybe could have like ran right down here. That would have been like the best play to make, but I was, in my mind, I was like, okay, Anti-Mage is top, I want to retreat away, and I didn't want anyone to intercept me from over here. Like Alchemist was around there, I don't want to get stunned closer to the tower and die, so that's what I was thinking. It wasn't the right play in retrospect, but it was still what I had thought of in the moment, and they get a pretty nasty kill on Sand King before Alchemist Alchemist actually dies. And important to note is Unstable Concoction actually goes off once you commit suicide with it. You actually explode on enemy heroes, and that's happened twice this game. Looking for IX Mike. Trying to get him. Yeah, I have to Ancient Seal as early as possible. Again, I don't want him to phase shift my concussive shot because then I can't catch up to him. Pick up a lucky regen. I decided to go Arcane Boots because I'm like, okay, well, I want to go for BOTs and then I died twice, so then I was just like, screw it, I'm just gonna get Arcane Boots. And I do need the mana, but I don't want like a huge mana pool right now. Right now, Mana Void would hit me for what, 800 times 0.6, so that's like over half my health, and if my teammates are around, that's just a lost team fight right there. So having a big mana pool is like good in some aspects, but not good versus percent base spells or like Mana Leak or Anti-Mage's Mana Void. So I have to watch my mana pool, and I have to watch my position very heavily during team fights to make sure I don't own my teammates with like a 1000 damage Mana Void. That's like a lost team fight that hits 3 people. So, and we have like all 3 melee heroes and 1 range hero. I shouldn't be close to the melee heroes. The melee heroes have to be in melee because that's what they do, and they have to do damage. At least Lifestealer does. Sinking can be like a little bit further away, but everyone has to watch their position and make sure we don't get multiple heroes stunned by Alchemists. Make sure we don't get multiple heroes hit by Waning Rift and all those good spells. So Concussive Shot, ridiculously long range. Managed to pick Pandago off here. If you hover over it, I think you can see the range, but it's like almost, if your hero's in the center of the screen, you can't even see it. So it's just like just at the edge of the camera is generally what I use as my indicator mentally. And again, we're like constantly fighting. There's been, what, 46 kills in 15 minutes, and I kind of thought this was how the game was going to go, but I didn't think that there'd be this many kills. I thought that they'd be playing a lot more passively and just trying to split push, kind of what they're doing now. 2 heroes pushing middle while 1 hero is trying to defend. And poor Sinking right there. If Bulba had attacked the towers, I don't think he would have died there. Sinking also suffers from lack of armor. He does not, I think he has like, I don't know, he had very, very poor armor before him, but again, Alchemist kind of owns these low armor heroes. Support Alchemist is not bad at all. Looks like they actually getting a kill. Trying to get a kill on him. He barely escapes. Oh my goodness. That's what... I'm actually surprised that he didn't get treads. He actually got tranquil boots. I'm watching this fight up here. I'm trying to get there desperately, but there's no T1 tower in mid since they just split push it down, so it takes a lot longer for me to get there. I could have just TP'd there had it been up, but it's very important for them to take towers because it limits our mobility, and especially if we buy back, it's extremely difficult to like control Roshan without this T1 up.
Somebody's on a roll.
Dang, I think it's deadly.
Somebody's cooking.
Oh. I'm thinking about bursting him down, but only when my conch shot is up. So as soon as my conch shot is up, I turn around, and I actually misclicked my Mystic Flare here. I wanted to move over here. I right-clicked, and instead I left-clicked with my Mystic Flare, and I whiff it, which is okay. But Alchemist actually has very, very low armor, but high amounts of HP, which is really good for heroes like Skywrath Mage, which is almost all magical and can't actually take advantage of the low armor. So we click on him, we notice that his chemical rage is down in like maybe 10 seconds, and Demon's like, hey, you know, you should... We smoked up, excuse me, waited for his chemical rage and then killed him. But Demon's a very patient player, and that if he didn't tell me to do that, I wouldn't have gone for that gank because I would have thought that more people would have been around here. I didn't want to be around with 200 HP, just die to Blink Mana Void, just die in a Dream Coil, just die to a Demonic Purge. Maybe even an Ancestral Spirit would kill me, so I was like, I thought that was a very bad idea, but he convinced me otherwise, and we managed to nab a kill without things going too poorly for us, but it was still a little bit risky. Right now we have no vision on the map. We have no idea what they're doing, no idea if they're ancient stacking, no idea if they're ganking, just no idea if they're just split pushing, no idea if they're farming neutrals, and this is a very dangerous time. So I'm trying to stick close to the tower, stick close to my teammates, and looks like they found them. So 4 people, including Anti-Mage, go for a life zero kill. That's a slightly good trade for them. It's not like the best trade for them. Ideally they'd kill a few more people, but I guess it's not that bad. And it was on the opposite side of the map, and we got a T1, so after the tower falls, it's like somewhat of an even trade because they had to rotate all the way bottom, but they're not farming in the meantime. I actually pick up Atos first. I want more HP, and I think the slow is very, very useful, especially versus these melee heroes that are very difficult to escape with once they're caught in a slow. So we're looking for Anti-Mage, and he blinks forward. We expect him to farm here, but he's actually playing very, very carefully and blinking up into the trees. We checked both these creep camps, but he wasn't there. But now our game plan is revealed, and my team backs off, so I have to back off too. I can't stay around in here and limit AM's farm, not without my whole team. We're still trying to desperately defend our towers. We've only lost 2 so far, and we have this top T1 tower, which is important to retain control of their jungle up here. It makes movement a lot easier. The creep waves like often over here, and we can move from multiple points to try and kill them. They scout me out with the Elder Titan Spirit, and I have to back off. But I want to defend this tower. I don't want to lose this if we can avoid it. Checking Sand King's blink. He has a blink right now. It's a good fight to take. So Arteezy blinks out, and then Fog is the only one alone. So generally I save my silence for a high priority target, but I noticed that he's alone, so I want to get him out of the fight. Sand King follows up with a very nice epicenter. I don't want to stay in the Earth Splitter, and he hits Bulba with a Mana Void, but it's actually not that big of a Mana Void. If I were there, I would have died. And another stun comes up from Tony Baloney. These stats save the day though. Like without Null Talisman, I would have died there. This is why you buy you buy Null Talisman. One death, it would have given them a lot of experience too. He has an Urn, so his Urn charge would have killed me, and he would have gained like probably full level, if not a level and a half. Demon gets a nice steal here on PPD, a self stun into a Rubik stun, and he's just like sitting there stunned for ages. But he's still really hard to kill because our physical damage is extremely terrible with these two. And notice both of them fog during the Alchemist stun. He goes into Sandstorm and he goes into Trees for fog. So good players will always stay in the fog when they can and just like dip back in and out if they have vision. So again, Demon plays really well this game. I have to commend him for that. And like most inexperienced players would like stand over here just because they want to chase the Alchemist, but he was up here able to just hide behind this single tree. So I know that in the late game we need sheeps. We need sheeps to kill Anti-Mage because silence is not going to do, and our spell damage is mediocre at best. So we just pretty much need to lock him down, let Lifestealer kill him. I look for Arteezy down here. He just blinked into here, so I wait for my silence and actually manage to kill him. He only has 1 point in spell shield, and Ancient Seal does 36% magic reduces your magic resistance by 36%, so it actually does more than level 1 of Mana Shield. And there's a fight breaking out over here. I don't actually know what happened there, but Demon says Ruffle, I guess because he gets Shadow Demon in a 3-on-1 situation. But Anti-Mage bought back. I always check his items. He has a Yasha and a Battle Fury now, but that should just delay his Manta for quite some time. And Liquid IX Mike actually goes for a Yules, which is actually a good choice. You want to go Yules versus a Skywrath or a BKB because you need to get... This is a very bad position for us. Because you want to be able to dispel the silence. And Yules actually dispels certain buffs and debuffs. It dispels haste, it dispels silences. So every time I cast Ancient Seal on him, he can just twirl stuff on there, up in there. It's also good for stopping TPs. In case you coil somebody, they can immediately TP out, but not if you have Yule Scepter. Gives him good mana too and damage. Only problem is it doesn't give him any HP, so if he gets stunned, he's just dead. Linken's is okay, but I can pop it with Atos, so it's not... And Atos is instant cast. I would cast Arcane Bolt, but Arcane Bolt has a super slow travel time. So if you got a Linken Sphere, I would just cast my Rod of Atos on him every time and just silence him if I wanted to silence him. Or I can just use Arcane Bolt if I actually don't want to focus him, if I just want to pop his Linkens to not focus him. And still trying to keep AM down. We still have all the towers that we had before. Again, mostly aggressive wards on their side of the map. I also want to keep track of like Roshan as well as the Ancient stack because they're pretty much just going to be farming in this area, and we need to keep our pressure up, keep warding. And Demon has Observer wards on him. We're going with him as a team. I have my Ultimate Orb picked up so I can get my sheep. And they actually have vision over here. He doesn't actually have a sentry. So we know that they have vision though, just by the way they played. They all backed off as soon as we rounded out about there. But Fog is for some reason out of position over here, and that is a very, very easy kill for us.
5 in a row.
I hear drums pop. Arteezy's coming from behind though. I knew he was on the left side, so I don't want to overextend in the tower, use all my mana, and then just get destroyed. Keeping track of my mana is about 600 minus, so that's not that bad. But if I use another Mystic Flare, then I'll get destroyed. Atos is actually very cost efficient for the amount of gold that you spend. You spend the Staff of Wizardries give you 20 intelligence, and the Vitality Booster gives you 250. So you get like free 75 HP, free 5 intelligence, and you get and you save 2 item slots, and you get the active effect. Atos is a really good item. It's just, I don't know, people don't like it because it's useless for speak AB, which is all what competitive Dota is about. But as you can see, like this game, we can kind of prevent them from getting BKBs by fighting all game. If we don't get BKBs, that's okay because our lineup isn't dependent on it. Get another kill on Puck. I try to Atos Arteezy to catch up to him. I have my silence up, but unfortunately, he blinks out because silence is really small range, and Fog looks like he's about to get picked off too. So,
How about that?
yeah, it kind of all started off badly once he got picked off here, and then they're only 4 strong with the Anti-Mage that doesn't have his Manta style yet, so they can't really take a fight. They can barely take a fight 5-on-5, but 4-on-5 at a tower, no way, unless they get like the sickest stomp setup ever. But again, we still have a timer. We're like, okay, well, we need to end this game soon, or we need to get a lot of sheeps so we can keep killing AM when we fight. And even though the kill score is 15 in our favor, it's like the gold lead is like marginal at best. We have what, 4 towers down? They have 3, so like 3,000 gold in between, just from the kills. They're still like doing very, very well in terms of farm. Anti-Mage's last hit is like close to doubles of Life Sealed, and like almost nobody else has that much farm. We're just always trying to fight, always trying to keep them down, and they're trying to kill Life Sealed. They're trying to create space for the Anti-Mage. And I'm looking over here trying to find him. It's always like a guessing game of where to find him, where not, where is he, where he isn't. And I know that Chicken's coming to me, but I want to get a kill, and I can't miss any of my spells. If I miss any of my spells besides Arcane Bolt, then he's gonna. So Chicken actually dies, which is unfortunate, but luckily he comes over here, away from the safety of the tower, and I can kill him again. Looks like he still only has level 1 of Mana Shield, and I use my illusion over here. Actually, I get 3 spells with it. I get the Spirit, I get the Yields, and I get the Stomp, and the Mana Void just absolutely destroys them. Illusions are actually really, really useful runes, but people tend to just put them in clumps of 2, which is absolutely what you should not do. As soon as someone sees 2 heroes of the same thing, they're like, okay, well, obviously that's an illusion rune. So I almost always split it up. I usually put one with my hero, and I usually send the other one to scout and see, like, there's plenty of things I can do. I can like move up here, see if they have a ward up here. Like if they move away as soon as they see my illusion, I know they have a ward. That's very useful information for one of my 2 illusion runes. I can also use it to bait spells. I can use it to scout Roshan. I can use it to scout stacks. I can use it to try and bait them into different positioning. Like I can just like pop it in and out of fog right next to their T2 tower and make them think that we're around there when we're actually like ganking their neutrals. So there's a lot of things you can do with illusion runes, but people think it's like the worst rune ever. But that's just because they don't know how to use it. So never underestimate illusion runes. They've gotten me many, many kills. Maybe not as many as haste, but they can be actually game changers. I've seen like Burning uses like illusion, his Manta illusions in base, and it gets lassoed, and then the LGD China loses the fight because he just lassos an illusion. So anything like that is just completely game changing, and it's a lot more obvious with Manta illusions for some reason, but people don't think of it with regular illusions. And notice our positioning. No one's farming the jungle right now. Absolutely nobody, because we want to be inside on their side of the map. And if we are farming, he's farming their jungle. He's farming their ancient stack, and it looks like Nex is over there. I'm just trying to keep this wave pushed out. We have a ward up here, so I know if anyone's coming to gank me. I'm really close to my sheep, and I want to farm it. But I look at my team's positioning, and I'm like, oh crap, they're probably gonna find a fight soon because I see life sealers dot next to blues, and I think about coming to this fight, but I'm like, I want my sheep. I want to guarantee our late game, and I consciously don't TP to this fight. And I don't know whether that was the right choice or not. At this particular point in time, I was like, I probably shouldn't go that badly. They can escape. They have like sinking with Blink. They have Timbersaw who should be able to chain away. So I don't think it'll be that bad of a fight. But I'm just like looking at this, paying attention while trying to farm my sheep. I'm only like 700 away. And it looks like Arteezy is cleaning up though. This is exactly what we can't happen. One bad fight, we'll just give Anti-Mage's items and then we can lose the game from there. So desperately trying to hope that we do well here. I don't actually look at fights because I need to farm my sheep though. At least if they lose this fight, I'll have my sheep. So I'm like, okay, that will console me. And yeah, Arteezy gets a lot of items, and even one of the specs is nice dire one, just because Anti-Mage with that many items is pretty difficult to come back from. And gold lead, yeah, 5,000 or 6,000. But I don't know this in game. It's just always a feel thing. We have more towers. Yeah, we have a lot more kills. But Anti-Mage is getting those items, and yeah, sure, we're up on kills, but is it enough? And I'm still trying to farm my sheep, just 200 away right now. Chicken is going to secret shop. I'm all ready to do it. Sometimes I use Atos on creeps. Why not? It's 16-second cooldown, and it's not going to save me if like an Anti-Mage blinks on me and kills me. So close to it. I had it right now, and I'm like, oh no, chicken is not there, and they actually see me, and I end up dying, and I lost like 700 gold or 600 gold right there, and I'm just like, oh my god, I don't have my sheep, and I like facepalmed here, and looks like Lifestealer was actually bringing himself a relic for the Abyssal Blade, which is pretty important too, but I really wish we could have gotten both the Abyssal Blade and the sheep. And it looks like they're trying to 3-man smoke. They have an Abyssal right now, so they can kill Anti-Mage even if he has a Manta style, as long as they can get a Blink, Sand King stun, and then kill him. This is not the ideal target, but this target will do. And he gets Abyssal. Very nice defensive disrupt by him. But very, very nice epicenter right there. He predicted he was gonna orb over there and channeled it 2 seconds beforehand, ends up getting a double kill. So that was a very, very good trade for us. But we didn't get Anti-Mage. That is our primary target. I can check his items since he's farming on bottom. Looks like he just has Manta Style and a Battle Fury, but he had like Yasha and an Ultimate Orb, I think, before that fight on bottom, and he got a lot of kills. So I know he has a lot of gold right now. But still, we're taking our towers. We have an Abyssal. I actually didn't know that Bulba was working on a sheep, but yeah, most of the players know, okay, like if you get Orchid, it's useless. He will just Manta or BKB out of it if he ever gets BKB. So we need like hard lockdowns, anti-BKB lockdowns, something that you can't Manta out of, and that is Basher, Abyssal, Sheeps. Those are exactly what you want. They have a Shadow Demon, but Shadow Demon's been dying a lot in these fights. You'll often just get caught by Lifestealer, or just caught by Silence from me, or Timber will be up in his face. You always want like 1 or 2 heroes that can just be completely up in the opponent's face, so you get vision of all their heroes in the team fight. Like Lifestealer can just run in, Sinking can blink and stun. Timbersaw can be annoying with his Chakram and his Whirling Death, and because of that, I know when to go in and when to back out, because I can see the opponent's positioning, which is very, very important in team fights. You always want to be able to see where they are. I'm trying to look for Arteezy, and the natural route, I think, for him is to farm the Ancient Sect. I actually didn't hear that TP. I think I only heard it because I'm a spectator, but I'm like waiting for him here, thinking, when's he going to come? And Sinking standing over here too, because I've killed him a couple of times, and I think that, he thinks that with his Manta he should be able to live and split out a Silence, but actually, that's not the case. He actually TP's back, and me and Sinking are desperately trying to get to this fight. I don't actually know why Lifestealer popped out of there. If he had just stayed in there, then he could have lived. I don't necessarily think getting an Elder Titan kill for losing his own life is worth it, but at least Arteezy uses Manta Style, and nice Veil Epicenter to kill him. And we get Arteezy again, so now we're like feeling relatively comfortable, but we still can't close out yet. We haven't taken down T3, haven't even got any damage on one. We haven't taken down Roshan, and if he gets a heart, like okay. Like if it gets Abyssal, they just defensively disrupt. They still have like a lot of AoE stuns. They have Echo Stomp, they have Earth Splitter, they have Unstable Concoction as well as Coil. So team fights are like not very easy for us to take still. Sand King doesn't have BKB. We don't have any BKBs on our team. The only thing we have for Magic Immunity is Lifestealer. But luckily Lifestealer is pretty fat, but he just died there, so. Yeah, still haven't used my sheep yet. We have no idea where they have vision. We probably should have picked up a gem earlier so we can cut down on their vision, but we also don't want to give it to them because Sand King having his Sandstorm up in fights is pretty important. You can just like Sandstorm and cast Epi or Epi and then just go in. Also, if you like stun and then Epi and then Sandstorm, some heroes' cast animations are too long to actually stun you. Especially if you like stun them from behind or in front to behind them, because then they have to turn around and they have to do their cast animation. So some heroes can't actually stun him, even if they have a stun during the Burrow Strike Epicenter combo. But you'll know that if you play Sand King a lot. Sand King, very high skill cap hero. So we're trying to keep the lanes pushed out. We want to keep all the lanes pushed out so that we can see where they're farming and we have better control, better vision of the map. We don't have any good wards out right now. We have one over here close to Roshan, and we have one over here. Demon uses Blink to try and get it. But I don't actually know how they saw this ward. They have a Sentry ward over here. They have a Observer ward over here. He tries to place it in this like really ninja spot, but he actually figures that. I thought he had a ward up here to see it, but very surprising. I guess he probably saw it with this ward. And I'm looking for people to kill right now. And Lifestealer gets caught out, but they don't actually have any damage on him during the silence. And I take like so much damage this fight. I'm like sitting in the acid spray, I get stunned out, and these creeps are on me, and I'm like desperately trying to get to the fight, but I don't want to die to just using one of my spells after Mana Void. So yeah, we have this ward up here, so I'm able to pick off Fog, and they kill Manta Illusion. Looks like they still want to go for more, but there's all these low HP heroes. Have a sheep for him, silence for him, and we have a lot of mobility in our fight, like Sand King and Timbersaw. Sure, we have like a 3 melee lineup, which generally people try and shy away from melee, but the highly mobile melees are much better. I think Timbersaw should be one of the top picks. I don't know why he isn't, but he just does so well without items. We see Puck trying to mess around with Lifestealer, but my eyes are on this T3. I don't actually know why my team chooses to chase a Puck, because it's only a solo Puck. If he comes up, we just sheep him and kill him. But I'm like desperately trying to push his tower as fast as I can, and he gets an invisibility rune, so I can't even stay up here because I'll just get silenced and orb and just die. His combo does like 600 damage, so like 450 with magic resistance, and then it's a little bit less than 600 actually, but 450 with magic resistance, and then like 2 right clicks will kill me, but that's assuming I don't sheep on time. So I'm like actually spamming sheep on myself right now in case he tries to go on me. I just have my scythe and just constantly clicking circles around me, but he doesn't actually pop up. He's just defending in base, so I can stop doing that. And we could have gotten this tower though. I was like, come on team, let's go do this, let's get this tower, and they were just chasing Puck. They didn't even get the kill on the Puck, so I think that was a small mistake on our team's part right then. But Lifestealer is still owning. He doesn't, I thought someone blinked, I guess it wasn't him. And I need a blink now too, because my mobility is lacking. Everyone on my team has a blink or is like highly mobile, besides Lifestealer I guess, but he's already in the fight anyways, and he has plenty of survivability, so he just attacks whoever's around him. He doesn't really need to chase people, but Sand King has Blink, he has Burrow Strike to move to, Rubik has Blink, and he can steal Anti-Mage's Blink if he wants to. Timbersaw has Timber Chain, but I'm just kind of like left out in the cold. In the last fight I was like, well, if I had a Blink I could just stay out and then blinked it and unloaded my spells. And he uses a Disrupt, which he used Disrupt on him, so immediately I sheep the Anti-Mage because I'll know it'll stick. Whenever you want to cast a sheep, you want to hope that it'll stick. So that means I have to silence Shadow Demon or make sure that he's not in the fight. He gets silenced and actually dodges it out. And nice phase shift by Mike here, and then Blink to get out. Yules is also very useful for that, being able to Yules in case there's a damage over time on you, or in case you need to delay cooldowns in between phase shifts, and then just phase and then Blink out. You should be perfectly okay with that. So yeah, trying to kill Mike here. He used his Yules earlier, so it wasn't up then, so that's why I can silence him. But Anti-Mage cleans me up, unfortunately.
The Dire best do something about that bottom tower.
Yeah, always trying to sheep Arteezy though. He's like the most important target for me to sheep. And yeah, we have a. Oh, I actually thought he was going to sheep. Maybe it's just me who sheep. But yeah, always trying to sheep him. Silence the other high priority targets, which is generally Shadow Demon or Puck. But if we're going on him solo like that, of course I'll use my silence on him. I run away from my teammates. I don't want them to get sent along with me. I know they'll be able to finish him off. Fox tries to save him, but gets caught by the Shivas and then the sheep, and then he dies too. And apparently LB is short of buyback, which is very unfortunate. I don't actually know what's the best build for him at this point. He needs heart because we have a lot of magical damage, but Lifestealer does more damage if you have heart, and he needs physical evasion too because of the bashes. So. And if he gets BKB, he just gets abyssaled. So it's like very difficult for him to build anything right now. We see the Spirit from Pandago, and we all blink up the hill to search for him because we know he's like around this area. I have Atos, I have Concussive Shot, both very, very long range skills, so I know I can kill him if he decides to push up. If you want to do that, make sure you like stand here, cast it up here, and then like run back to the fountain as you're running up with your Spirit because they just give him another kill. It's not that big of a deal because Anti-Mage is still down for 30 seconds, but it's still something small. And IX Mike does the same thing. You can't do this kind of shenanigans when there is a Skywrath with a Blink and a Sheep, or Demon with Blink and Telekinesis. It's just silly. And sure, yeah, sometimes you can defend with just dropping Acid Spray, dropping down multiple Poison Touches, spamming Illusory Orb, and then or just blinking out Illusory Orb and then waiting Rift and then Phase Shift and Jaunt out. But you can't do that when other team has Silences and Sheeps. They'll just pick you off like that. So they gave a lot of unnecessary kills, but we end up getting, what, 2 wrecks from there. And trying to close out the game, Anti-Mage, I don't actually know if he has any items, but he probably has buyback since he didn't have it last time. But he gets abyssal up. Look at this guy. He's like so hard to kill. Lifestealer, what a hero. And then he infests the Sand King and doesn't actually even end up dying. And we kill Arteezy one last time. And that should be it. Again, no Anti-Mage, no win for them. But even with this 30 kill advantage, it was still like a very like tenacious lead up until about this point in the game when we push up their hill. But yeah, Skywrath, pretty good hero. I'm actually surprised he's not picked more than CM. I think he does very, very well versus Puck. He's not as good versus Queen of Pain because Queen of Pain is better with a BKB, but when's the last time you saw Puck with a BKB? Like, I don't know, almost never. Yeah, it's just not that good of an item on him. And yeah, sure, you can get a Yules just to counter his Ancient Seal, but it will still leave him with low HP, so if he gets stuns, he still dies. He does like okay in the matchup. I had a lot of help from Rubik in the beginning, but even in a straight one-on-one situation, it's not that bad. And if you ever get a silence on Puck while you're ganking, the team fight should almost always go your way. The only problem with it is his range is like really, really small, whereas Puck can like engage on Skywrath. If he gets a blink too early, you're just gonna get blinked and silence every time, and you won't be able to silence him back. But if you pick an aggressive lineup like this and just constantly peep up pressure, then it should be okay. So this is like the type of Dota that I really enjoy playing. The ones where you have like an aggressive lineup versus a farming lineup, like a 4 protect 1 strategy. And if you mess up, you're gonna lose. You feed him kill in a triple lane, he gets Battle Fury, he gets his Manta early, you lose. He gets his Battle Fury, you lose a fight because he cleans up, and then he gets his Manta, and then you lose. Or even when he gets like Battle Fury and then Manta, and then you lose a team fight, he gets a Heart or a Butterfly or a BKB, and then you lose. So it's like a very difficult thing to keep Arteezy down. But in the end, we manage ton of kills in this game. The match ID is 336-28040, but it's a private game, so it won't actually be publicly available. However, I'll post it onto my YouTube description, so you can check it out if necessary. But in general, the skill build and item build, or skill builds almost always max Arcane Orb with 1 level in your other 2, max Ancient Seal after, and then max Conch Shot, with obviously getting your ultimate when you can. Item build is generally Arcane Boots into whatever item you need, whether it be Force Staff, whether it be Mech, whether it be Atos, whether it be sheep. It always depends on the game. Ghost Scepter would have been pretty good here, but we were always on the defensive. I didn't need to get like defensive items very much. And you can get a Veil too. Unfortunately, you can't use Axe Scepter. No, I think it'd be a pretty good item. Bloodstone is okay, but again, it doesn't give him that much int. A lot of your damage does come from Arcane Orb. So that's Skywrath Mage in a nutshell. But they didn't get any BKBs. I think that was a mistake on their part. I don't actually know why Anti-Mage didn't get it. I mean, I guess, yeah, sure, Life Sealer will own you, and we have Instant Stuns, but still, I think it would have helped him more than a Butterfly would at that point in the game. He could have just BKB'd on me. I would have been forced to get a Ghost Scepter, and maybe he can try and prevent us from getting our sheeps. But that's it for Merlini Plays Dota. I will try and put more episodes up. I'm trying to do at least 2 a week. I've been doing like 1 or 2. Again, for mailbag questions, please mail me at mailbag@merlinidota.com. Hope you enjoyed this episode in this fun and exciting game. I rarely seen this many kills in the game. 121 kills in 42 minutes. Thanks everybody for watching, and if you like my videos, you can subscribe to me at youtube.com/merlinidota. I also post on Twitter and Facebook for updates, and as usual, I always stream on twitch.tv almost every day, twitch.tv/merlinidota. Thanks guys for watching.